Today we are honored to welcome Jesseca Maria to the show today. I'm very excited to have her on. She talks about so many different topics, and it's sort of about mastering yourself, right? There's so many different things that come into that, right? And infidelity is part of that, equal conscious living and being able to kind of work together within yourself to create the greatest version of yourself and to live the life that you actually want to live, right? And talk about self mastery and so many different concepts, knowing your values, your standards, all these things that she talks about. I'm very excited to have her on, share her story with us and her insights. And to walk away with practical takeaways to become the best version of ourselves and take control of our mind. So, how are you doing today?
Hi, Anthony. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing very
Absolutely.
well.
Good.
There's always ebbs and flows and waves that we experience in life. So I'm kind of coming down from a peak of a wave.
That's what it's all about. I mean, I'm very curious to hear your story and how you got into being of service today and self mastery and all these concepts that you talk about.
Well, I always try to find different and unique ways to answer that question. Well, I was born on this earth as a human being, as we all were. And I've lived many lives in my current physical life. And I've experienced very many things in my own personal life and in my career as a nurse for almost a decade now. And everything that I've experienced with trauma and betrayal and being caretaker for a variety of a lot of different people who are either ill or injured. It's just really, and also having a deeper understanding of science and human biology and plant biology and different aspects of the microscopic things that go on underneath everything that we can't really see. And just having that understanding and all of those experiences have brought me to the realization that life really isn't that bad, that life really is good most of the time for most people, and that we deserve and we need to be happier. We all deserve to be happy. I think it's very important to be kind to ourselves and kind to other people. And without guilt and shame, just experience joy for no reason. We don't need materialistic things. We don't even need our health intact to experience that pure joy. Um, and that you know can be a little bit hard for many people to hear, which is fine. We're humans are like onions. We all have different layers, and they're all kind of stinky layers. You know. Um, Second, someone's calling me. Uh, but life really is a really short, beautiful experience. And I'm coming from the perspective of having experienced extreme ends of light and dark and not only recovering and surviving things, but thriving from them. And having this awareness and a little bit of wisdom, but also still experiencing many things that the collective, which it means many people on this earth experience, like anger and anxiety and frustration. I still, get frustrated. I still suffer, but I suffer way less than I used to. And it's because of specific understandings and awarenesses about the complete bliss and shortness of life, of physical life, temporariness of it.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it sounds like a lot of it, like despite of what's going on, we kind of have a choice within to make, right? Like, do we want to be fulfilled or not? So, kind of living consciously is what it seems
Hmm.
like.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, easier said than done. Everyone has their own understanding about it. Though it's just, there's too many people on this earth that are too depressed and angry and unfulfilled. And that's okay. It's all part of our progress as a human species. But I just believe that more people in this world can be happy. We all have that potential within ourselves, and it takes a responsibility within each of us individually.
I like that. It makes sense because, like, like the rising tide raises all ships, right? The more you kind of work on yourself and growth, that the more equipped you are to be of service, and you affect everyone around you one way or another, right? So it's basically, how do you want to do that, and how we live our life is going to influence that for sure.
Hmm. It's pretty.
So yeah, so going on top of that, it's like we see people kind of living in this frustrated state, and a lot of times like they're in this perpetual state. It's like this long lasting thing. It's not like we don't feel these things, but
Hmm.
a lot of us, we get stuck, right? It's like we
Hmm.
can't really move through these things in a conscious manner, and we kind of repeating the same thing over and over again, and we don't realize why we're not getting the results we want in life.
Hmm. Yeah, even before this, I came onto this podcast, I was really frustrated about something. I still work as a nurse and I still get to do that. It's, not my it's not my most preferred work. I love what I'm doing, but it's always kind of walking on tiptoes and um, yeah, it's cool, but it comes with things, of course. And I was just doing, paperwork, and this company just I get my phone gets blown up every single day by companies asking me to work, and then the company's asking me for things. I'm just like, oh my God. It just gets overwhelming, and I built a couple businesses and I'm still in those baby stages. So I still get to work before those, on other things before that. But I have a very diverse job, like work things that I do. I bartend as well. I just started bartending somewhere, and I'm just going to do a quick contract. But after that frustration, I realize that I don't need to be frustrated, that I can process things in a calm way. And over time, several years ago, I used to get really upset and angry and physiologically change within my feelings inside of my body. Like my blood would boil. And I don't really experience that very often anymore. I still get frustrated and angry at times, but it's nowhere near to what I used to experience. So, and a lot of things within spirituality, I feel like it's painted as this um, kind of coated pink, where it's just like there's this redness beneath it, but it's like painted as a picture that's pretty in pink. But it's there's layers to it, and there's things that are required of us independently and with our emotions to be able to overcome or experience it, a physical action or a life experience without that emotional tie, without that frustration, without that anger, that depression that could come along with it, that we normally are conditioned or we've conditioned our body to experience, if that makes sense. But we must honor ourselves, and we must realize that we're in a really comfortable time, the modern time. It's very comfortable, but it's pretty unnatural for our human souls. We've progressed so far since the Industrial Revolution which was over 100 years ago. And 100 years is such a short time for our human spirit to catch up to technological advances. And a lot of us we have, but why is it that we have so many materialistic things so easily and so quickly, but yet so many people in this world are so miserable? And this is something that I talk about a lot, is that we don't need to be miserable. We don't have to be unhappy. Most people in the world, I believe, should be happy. There should be a lot more gratitude for existing and having all of this stuff that we do and that we get to do, and all of the possibilities that we have. We're creators as human beings, and the reason why we have so many frustrations is because of all the societal imposed beliefs and limitations that are imposed on us, and that are told us to sit in front of Netflix and order Uber Eats and stay inside your house all the time and not create art, not create music, not dance, not help out another human being.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, because you mentioned it's like spirituality. It's like it seems like this great thing, and definitely can be, but it's a
Yeah.
process to get there many times.
Oh yeah. It's and it's not always so it's just we're in a world with gravity, and the world is spinning. We're on a rock in the middle of space, and things break and fall there's not a permanence for every single thing. Nothing is permanent. And we have to remember that, and remember that we have to let things go, and that when people and things pass on to another form, like on the other side of the rainbow, a simple way to say it is that it's okay. We don't have to suffer through it. We don't have to be so sad through this life. And that goes for myself. It's something that it's transformed for me over my life in the years. I've lived most of my life depressed, and now I don't experience that, which is very lovely. Um, but times, if you're in, for example, if you're in a country where there's active war going on, this is easier said than done. How do you find a connection with the higher power or with any kind of joy when you're surrounded by bombs are going off and guns are being shot at you, or there's just, stuff flying at you, or you have an open wound? It's like those are situations where um, it's a little difficult, but most people don't experience that. That's why it's like most people in the world need to be happier. And, a lot of people talk about toxic positivity, and I totally get it, because I'm not saying, cover up and sweep under the rug pains that are volatile and violations and transgressions that we've done to each other as human beings. Um, it's more like toxic negativity. It's just like there's so many reasons humans have and almost excuses to not be happy. When it's just we're all born worthy, we're all born good, and we're all worthy of experiencing that. We had no problem as children.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because before we mentioned, like, we all go through these challenges, right? And there's so many different obstacles that we go through, and it's important to give ourselves grace in that process, right? Because when we start to beat ourselves up, that just makes everything worse, as opposed to, like, having compassion, kind of moving through in a sense, and developing that internal strength, right? So we can actually kind of sustain the life we want to live.
Yes, yeah. And that's why I think it's so important for women, especially women, since we are the ones that create life. And yes, it takes a man to create life as well, but human bodies would not continue to be born and to continue out into this world without a woman. And it's so important that us women, that we stay as best to our ability in our true authentic selves and our divine femininity, if that's what we vibe with. If not every single woman vibes with being feminine, and there's these societal definitions of what feminine is. And the feminine is to receive and to reflect and to, I don't want to say sit, but we're not supposed to be doing a lot of the work. We are all given human bodies to work and to use them. And work, that doesn't mean going to a 9 to 5 job. It means actually creating with our bodies. And if there were more secure female or femme identifying individuals that were leaders, we would have a more harmonious world. Goes to show our history has mostly been ran by men as presidents and as leaders. Not, there's a lot that have been great. I'm not saying that men cannot be leaders. Men can, of course, but the most dominant force and guiding force in this world, it should be women. And that's why I created Magnetic Soul Healing and the Uncheated Code, specifically to guide women to their higher selves, to overcome these, not just to overcome, but learn wisdom from life and their unfavorable experiences and painful experiences, and transform it into something that is purposeful, that gives back to the earth and to humanity. And then Cheetah Code specifically focuses on infidelity and overcoming the pain of infidelity, because that was something that I experienced in my life in the middle of my spiritual transformation or growth. Um, and it made me really reflect. It's like, oh, I have all these spiritual beliefs, but yet I feel terrible because this person did this. which is an attachment to their actions, which I shouldn't be attached to or bothered by. But why am I so bothered by it? Why is my life falling apart? Why do I feel this way? And it was such an intense experience because when I got that news, the next day I couldn't walk. So it's like if I am so psychologically depending on someone else's behavior that it causes an actual effect in my physiologic and anatomical capabilities and structures, then like what the hell? So I did a lot of deep diving. I did a lot of different forms of healing that kind of just walked into my life that really helped me overcome that and to learn from it. And it took about just 3 months, with specific holistic and metaphysical practices that I did that really helped. And I would just love to share these with more women, not just people who have been through infidelity, but women in general that want to rise to their higher self, because we all have that potential. Men and women do, but specifically, I only work with women.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, empowerment is key, right? And it's like, it's so interesting how the mind and body are connected, right? Because we have this thing happen, but then it has this huge physiological response.
Hmm.
And it's like, we don't connect these things sometimes. Like being able to recover from trauma and all these things is so important.
Hmm. Very true. And it is a scientific fact that 90% of our illnesses and diseases are caused by stress. And stress isn't just worrying about work. Stress is a social experience that we're obsessing over, or, something that happened, a hardship in our family, low self esteem, feeling low about ourselves or incapable, and just unsatisfaction with life or unfulfillment in life.
Definitely. I mean, before you're talking about how, you know, like there's so many great things in the world, right? But a lot of us were not fulfilled. We're just kind of walking around kind of disconnected in a sense from our purpose and what is real. Why do you think that is? Like, is it because of trauma? Like, is it due to other things? Like, what is your take on that?
Well, I I grew up Catholic, though I support all religions and all religious practices, especially when they're harmonious and peaceful. Though I don't have a religious practice anymore. Rather, I would identify with more of a metaphysical approach to having a relationship with the higher power, which comes along with the karmic cycle. And I'm not a zodiac expert. I'm not a um, I don't even know very much about the zodiac signs. I'm not someone's like, oh, you did this because you're a Gemini, or you're this, or Cancer, or whatever. But we all have, a dedicated Chinese zodiac sign and a zodiac sign that is conventional to what most people know, like Aries, Taurus, etc. I believe that we're born into the life and the families, the locations that we're born into by choice from our spirit before we came into the physical body. But we came into the specific life situation to grow and expand. And it doesn't always make sense. I'm just a small human, and it doesn't always make sense to me, especially when it comes to the heinous things that humans do to each other and that have done to people that no one deserves the things that we've done to each other, and that it's improved over time. There's less violence in the world, and that may shock people to hear that, but there is. Talk about 100 years ago, before there was any civil rights or any kind of human movement that protected human life. Um, it's improved over time. But I'm not sure why we go into why children get violated, why children are abused, why humans in general, why we abuse animals. I don't 100% know why, but I do believe it's because of the karmic cycle, and for all of us to learn a lesson from within the Buddhist religion. they teach that if you get decapitated in this life, it's because you decapitated someone else in another life. There is this story about a goat who and this priest. There's a priest, a goat, and then this king. And the king ordered this goat to be beheaded for some reason. And the priest anointed it and did something, and then the goat started talking, which was an abnormal thing. So the priest listened to the goat, and the whole premise is for him to not be decapitated. And oh my gosh, I wish I remember the full details of the story, but it had a really good. It taught the prince not to, kill any more animals, and then the priest gave up needing to slaughter the goat as well. But then the goat was decapitated by a tree trunk that was struck by lightning. And before it happened, he laughed and said, "This was my destiny. It was supposed to happen." So I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's still something that I am curious about myself. But we give out, we get back what we give out. We're all energetic beings. We have an energetic force, also known as an aura, and it can be based off of our thoughts and our beliefs and just what the life that we were given. I can't explain all of that. But scientifically, it's proven that we have electricity within us. Our heart has an electrical system within itself. But with physics, there is energy proven around us and from within us.
Yeah. I mean, doctors, they use EKGs and EEGs,
Hmm.
right? Electrocardiograms,
Yeah.
electroencephalograms. It's literally measuring the electromagnetic energy that our
Hmm.
bodies put out, like our heart and all these things. And there's a interesting research like in the Heart Math Institute,
Hmm.
and they kind of like measure like it's a tube torus. It's like the magnetic energy that the heart is putting out. It's like I believe it's 9 feet, something like that. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
it's
We
insane.
have an electronic, and a magnetic field around us, all of us. And I know that's so woohoo and aha for a lot of people. It's too witchy or too guru bull crap or whatever, but it's not. We are these energetic beings that have this divinity within all of us. And I've experienced naturally this genuine and spontaneous, pure joy for just existing. And I get to experience it sometimes. There's been times in my life where I would experience it every single day. Um, yeah, something that I'm working towards achieve, not achieving, but experiencing more often and maintaining that vibration. Um, I'm very sensitive though. I don't, I feel other people's energies. Another thing that I'm learning is to protect myself from other people's energy and their energy forces and their energy fields. I mean,
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you were mentioning empowerment as well. Like a lot of us are disconnected, disempowered, and we're not really connected to what is real in a sense. Like in your mind, what can we do to become more empowered within ourselves? And some tools that can go along with that, or become the greatest version of ourselves, really. Because that's what it's all about, like living this empowered life, and walking around, you know, with authenticity. That's how I like to think about it as well.
hmm definitely getting time alone, spending time alone in nature, and while doing activities like dancing and singing and playing music and drawing or creating any form of art, doing those alone and focusing on it. And I always preach for breathing exercises like connecting with the breath and meditation. Those are very important. Doing one's best to not take things personal and to not, or rather, to make decisions based off of impulse. Not all the times. When it's with anger, many times if it's like an action like to harm someone else, not that, but if it's an impulse to jump or to scream or in light or joy or to sing a song, then do that and not care the outcome, not care the opinions of other people, because we're all supposed to create, and we're all supposed to be artists. We were given these beautiful bodies that were all made for most people. Not every single person is born this way, but most people are born with the ability to be an athlete and to be strong physically and to have these abilities to create. But because of a lot of the structures in place, it's different, but it's very important to really get to know yourself. Not a lot of people know themselves outside of their labels of their job titles, their family, their relationship status, what they do for work. Um, and I mean, that list goes on. But just stripping oneself of all those titles, it's kind of scary because, you know, not a lot of humans are like okay with having those things taken away from them. And if they do, they're crumbled. They crumble because they don't know their true essence or their true selves. And this is something that I've personally experienced of when I started learning about spiritual truths. That I'm not my emotions, I'm not my past, I'm not any of the titles that I go by. And it's made me question so much, who am I? And I just definitely have gone way further to my true essence. Though it's still something I'm working on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like being connected to your intuition and your guidance is really
Mhm.
important, right? Like, how do we
Yes.
start to do that as well? Because I'm sure it's a practice, and a lot of us kind of, I don't know, we don't necessarily know how to do it.
Oh yeah. Intuition is we all have it, and it's a gut feeling. Animals have it, birds have it. They sense weather changes, a storm coming. They sense all these things and they know how to listen to it because they're not conditioned like we are. Um, to improve our intuition, um, I think it's important to meditate and spend time alone and to not and to say no to things and to definitely with courage say no or yes when we feel it instead of being afraid to do either or. Because many times we don't have the courage to say yes or no. Many times it's a no that we don't have courage to say no, but there's certain other maybe kind of social experiences where we're afraid to say yes to. But then there's other situations where we don't feel safe and we're not safe, but we're too afraid to disappoint them or offend the other person instead of telling them to fuck off. And I think it's really important to tell people to fuck off and to go fuck themselves and to get a fucking identity. Because, excuse me, but seriously, there's people that are just so stuck and limited on this specific attachment of something that they just cannot see outside of it.
Yeah. I mean, I see that. That makes sense. It's like, just giving ourselves permission to go for what we really want, right? Because we think that, based off like old programming, old things, it's like we almost like we're there's so much resistance from actually living the life we want to lead, right? And a lot of times you have to break out of that and break these old paradigms and patterns, right? To actually move beyond that and live life I actually want.
Yeah, and it's no matter, even if we're living the life that we want, there's still always going to be frustrations because we're in a physical world with a lot of demands and paperwork and taxes and plastic and a lot of other people that don't know who themselves are. So it's something that we all must have an individual transformation. Being kind to ourselves in the process, being kind to other people. Of course, having courage to say something when it is necessary. Like if someone else is being harmed or you're being harmed. But it's important that we all have a self realization, a self transformation in this life. It's just, I love going to the cemetery because I go there and I see all these names and I see all these people and I'm thinking, I don't know all of the amazing things that all of these people that are in their graves done, or what the terrible things that they did. I don't know any of it. I could look them up, maybe track down their family, or search them online if they were a big deal online, or they were highly known in society, maybe. But it's like I don't really know their experience. And there are, I'm kind of in a higher wave right now in terms of, I'm a little bit overloaded with multiple things right now. So I'm a little fogged right now. I'm clear, but I have a lot of things going on. And my dog, this is the main reason why my dog, she got pregnant. She had 11 puppies 3 months ago. I have three left, but that has just been like been a beautiful experience, but it's also caused a lot of chaos. Like I've had people harass me at my house because of it. I've had animal control called on me because my neighbor's crazy. She's not crazy. She has her own stuff, but she has like something against me, and she just a lot of heat. So I'm a little bit stressed right now overall with a lot of different things in my life. But I still get to have moments of just pure joy. And before this, I had even more moments like that. And I'm just so disappointed and upset with myself for not having more moments of joy. Because I'm surrounded by puppies. Puppies are so cute and cool, but there's other things that come along with it, you know? But I'm just experiencing the disappointment because I know how to have and how to experience that joy and being guilt free, and experience those other aspects. But I'm not, because I'm focusing on social issues right now, kind of. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not about being perfect at all, right? Because
No.
as you mentioned, like even if we're living consciously and being intentional and deliberate about our lives, like things are going to come up, right?
Hmm.
And my personal belief is that a lot of these things they're kind of designed to forge your character in a sense to live the life that you're meant to lead. Like if you have these goals and things that you want, like a lot of times life has to qualify us. At least in my own experience, like what do you actually want?
Hmm.
And then like who you have to become in a sense.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of way I look at it in a sense.
Hmm.
But again, like all these things, it's always a process. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that as well.
Yeah, it's it definitely is a process. And because of this experience, I have a lot more courage and a lot less fear to voice my needs and my perspective, and to stay silent amongst chaos. And that doesn't mean not saying anything. It's just like the people that have harassed me at my house because of, like, it doesn't make any sense why they have. But normally I would probably try to fight with them. But I just stayed silent. I just stared at them, which scared them and made them like kind of hinder and run away because I stayed silent the whole time. But they had a fence protecting our, our space between us. And as I walked towards, like as I was about to open my fence, they ran off. And I'm just like, it's all just bark no bite. Who knows? I may get bit, but I've been bit a lot of times in life, and it's really guiding me towards more emotional regulation. And I used to believe that when I had like a heightened feeling inside, specifically when there was, a possible fight that was about to happen, or some kind of aggression that was happening, or aggressive physical action happening around me and towards me. I've experienced that a lot in the hospital. And over time, like I still experience that adrenaline rush, which is natural. And I used to think, oh, I'm a failure because I'm not calm. And that's not true. It's just a biological response. Like my body is preparing to protect itself. So I'm just grateful. And now, if I do experience that, which I don't experience that very often, but when I do, I just very quickly return to a calm state. And before, it would take me a while to recover from that.
100%. Yeah. As you mentioned, like we're going to feel
Hmm.
things, right? But yeah, again, going back to giving ourselves grace in that process and not beating ourselves up. It's so important, right? And that emotional regulation, right? It's an important skill that we all can kind of develop, so we can be able to process these things. Because I know you talk about so many different tools within that, right? Because you talk about
Hmm.
meditation, all these different things that basically train us to kind of come back to
Hmm.
center, come back to that peaceful
Hmm.
state. And again, it's not about being perfect at all, but being able to ebb and flow, like like you said.
Yeah, and that's very true. And without all, these experiences that we get, specifically in reflection of my own personal life, they're all lessons to be more emotionally strong, to be more strong and understand who I am and be okay with it instead of questioning myself or doubting myself. It's building more courage within myself and just definite more ways of me being able to speak up for myself. Because there's a lot of experiences that many of us get because of the, time that we're in. We have a lot of subscriptions, or we get these and that, or we can get money stolen from us, we can get things stolen from us, and sometimes we don't always know how to stick up for ourselves. Then, so it's just this is just giving me more um, awareness on how to still love myself and not feel guilty, but also still have love for another person. And in that moment, when it's heightened
Yeah.
anger or heightened frustration, it's, I don't feel always. There's times where I have, and I've been in a situation where I start smiling, and then that makes the other person more angry, and they get a little bit more hostile, and I'm just like, no, I'm just how like in my mind, I literally felt like I love this person so much, and I wish that they could be, in a calmer, loving, fun state because this isn't fun. But I just love them for existing, and that has made a couple women that I've had that have had issues with me um, be intensely angry with me. And I'm just like, this isn't necessary. We don't have to fight like this. As children, we played a lot and we had fun and we weren't attached to a lot of things. Like, can we please go back to that? Easier said than done, but
Yeah, personal advocacy. Yeah, personal advocacy is so key, right? Sometimes we have to smile in the face of fear, right? Just being able to be lighthearted and understand that love is the highest form of frequency as well. So as much as we can connect to that and kind of come back to that empowerment, like the better. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, we go through things for a reason, right? But it's like, how can we stay in that high vibrational state, right? It's like,
yeah.
how can
And
we be
that
there
the
more
answer to
often in a
that is
sense?
by being present as literally every second, being as present as possible, and being grateful and doing what is necessary when things come up. And
100%.
protecting ourselves is necessary in this world
Yeah.
because we're in this world filled with crazy human beings, and not everyone is peaceful, not everyone is happy, not everyone is okay with themselves. But we can raise our vibration higher, we can maintain it through presence and gratitude and meditation, and that will reduce the amount of people that will come into our line of life because of our vibration being so high. They cannot connect with that vibration.
Yeah, protecting your energy. I find like when you're doing like so many empowering things, like negativity doesn't want anything to do with you. Like, because you're like, if you're walking around with so much love, so much like empowerment within yourself. It's like it, it just goes to show
Hmm.
like the light is the most powerful thing, and we just have to connect to that within ourselves.
Hmm.
And working on yourself, like doing all these things as you mentioned, right? And other things like sunlight, nutrition, all these things like they work together
Yeah,
to kind
there are
of
definite
calibrate your
things that
frequency in a sense.
we can do for our body, for our mind to follow with the appropriate nutrition and the appropriate amount of time in nature, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, having a balance and experience with heat and cold, specifically with sauna or jacuzzi and cold plunges, which help regulate our hormones. And doing all of those things, meditating and breath work, practicing gratitude, all of those things help regulate our hormones, can help regulate our thoughts, and it can help increase our vibration. Though we're in this world with other human beings, and it can be complicated for some people. It doesn't look like that for every single person. Everyone has a different heart, a different mind, a very different perspective. We all have very different perspectives. And it's an individual experience. But I have found that specific holistic practices are very helpful in raising our vibration. But it is it's a very specific individual, and it's a very strong choice. And when I say strong choice, I mean it takes a lot of courage to want to and have that desire to have that drive to live, that drive to transform, and also that drive to surrender to a higher power. And a huge aspect of our health is having a relationship with a higher power. And our relationship with every
Yeah.
single thing else. That's with people, with objects, with technology, with whatever it is. Our relationship with every single thing is so important. But the most important relationship that we all have is the one that we have with our higher power. And that looks different for every single person.
Yeah. That makes sense. You also talk about eco-conscious living, right? Like, what is your take on that? And how can we start to
Yeah,
be
I'm
more
gonna move
conscious of
really
what
quick
we're
because
doing
I didn't realize my
and things in our environment and
computer
everything that
has
goes into that?
2% left. So, but I haven't always been an eco-conscious person. There was things that have come into my life that taught me a lot about the truths of what's going on with our trash nowadays. Okay, I'm connected. Cool. But we're in abundance of trash. And we have so many amazing materialistic things in packaging and cleanliness and sterile stuff, and we get to have so many gadgets. We have so many abilities to grow in business, so many different products we can sell and buy. And we can get it so quickly. But again, back to the kind of what I said at the beginning of this, is that we have so many things, yet we're so miserable. And that just doesn't equate. We need to be happier. Because a lot of people worked for these things. Our ancestors did. Our ancestors went through a lot. Everyone's ancestors did a lot. And we went through a lot over the course of humanity to create more comfortability and more ease in living. And now that we got into this place of being easy to live and easy to exist, many of us don't know how to connect with that other aspect within ourselves. And that's something that took me a long time to get to. But I was forced to do it. And it was a beautiful force because it was a force by God. But I think I got a little off track. We are in abundance of trash. We have a lot of toxins in the air. Our quality of air and the percentage of oxygen is a little bit lower than we need as human beings, which is fine. Our soil health is okay. We're still able to grow crops. But the other side of the coin is that we have many places in the world. We have very clean streets. We have systems of plumbing and trash systems, which clean everything up. And it's great. And it looks so pretty, pink and pretty. But there's this dark redness, that I was talking about earlier. It's like this hidden burning hell that we don't see. And we collect all this trash. And it's like, I would love to do a sewer tour because I want to know what goes on. Like, what do they do with all the water in the toilets? And how do we get all this continuous water from our faucets? And where does all this trash go? They bury it in the ground and they dump it in the oceans. And then we cover it. And then nearby we grow grass and grow crops in it. And then we have cows graze the grass. And then we slaughter those cows. And then we eat those cows. And then we go in the ocean and fish those fish and all those sea animals. And when they were in the water, they were eating the plastic that and all the other trash we threw in there. So it's going into their bloodstreams and in their tissues, and then we eat it. So we have all humans right now that eat meat and that are in a society have plastic within themselves, just like the animals too. So it's like we're evolving, but I don't think we're intelligent enough to evolve with plastic and toxic stuff in the air. But there are many solutions that are going on. There have been studies that have shown there is way less deforesting happening in the past decade than in the past previous 30 years. Way less cutting down trees. Over COVID, our atmosphere completely healed. I don't know how it is now, but it's still probably pretty good because we're still alive. And the truth is that we are strong because we eat these things. We don't even know we're eating plastic, but we do. We spray all these Febreze things and we use all these cleaning products and we clean with bleach and we inhale it and then we we vape and we eat meat and we do all, which is fine, but we do all these things that put so many toxins in our body and we survive it all. We survive it all. So a huge aspect or a portion of Ecocultura, which is an online shop where I sell compost bins. My philosophy behind it is for us to compost and to reduce our trash because 30 to 40% of our trash worldwide is organic matter that can be composted. And if 8 billion people in the world were to compost organic matter, that would drastically reduce our trash worldwide by at least 30%. And also having gratitude for trash. That's the third thing. That's the third component of it. Because there is as we're talking about energy, there's an energetic force. If we carelessly just throw things away, we carelessly use things, we buy something and we don't even praise it or have gratitude for it or the creation of it or the creators of it, that just energetically messes with us. And it's like a boomerang where it's like a force that is just causing messed up energy between people, between just humans mostly. Humans are just the psychological complex beings here. Animals, they're free. Plants, they're free. But as humans, we got a deeper, a kind of, interesting twist to ourselves.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, in the beginning, you were kind of talking
Hmm.
about like you have to connect with what is real within yourself, right? And that can actually lead you to see what you actually need to do in the external for the environment, right? How we're using all these different things, and it's like it's not just like what you are, what you eat. It's what you are, what you eat, ate. Meaning they everything that goes into the soil, everything that
Hmm.
animals are eating, all these things that bioaccumulate, and then we have to be conscious of where we're getting these things, right? So just being mindful of
Hmm.
all these things.
Yeah,
It's really
things are
important. So
improving.
uh,
Um,
it seems like there's a lot that goes into it as well, but
the
also it
goodness
also seems like
is
things are improving. So that's good.
what goes on in the world. It's not always heightened or spoken about more than the negative aspects or the scary aspects, which is okay. It's all part of our process of evolving. Um, but there are good things going on. But there is a definite fact, scientific, environmental proven fact, that we cannot sustain the human species another 100 or 150 years on this earth if we continue this modern lifestyle. And it may sound scary, but it's just like literally life on the other side of the rainbow is really nice. It's cool. It's peaceful. We don't have any worries. We love ourselves and we love other people. No problem. And they may come off as morbid, um, which I don't really care because we're all gonna die. And that is a fact of human beings. We're not gonna live forever physically, but we all are eternal beings. So we have this eternal soul, but our physical bodies have a time frame. And we can be present and we can just not care about it. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. But it's if we want the human species to continue to exist, if we want our children and our grandchildren to have a comfortable life in terms of physically being okay on this earth instead of living in extreme droughts or extreme food shortages, extreme temperature, unsurvivable temperatures like heat and cold, then we're having clear signs of weather. It was snowing in Florida last week or 2 weeks ago. They had like 4 feet of snow in Florida. Like, when does it snow in Florida? There's just hurricanes that happen in Florida, not snow. And then snowing in Texas, snowing, and there was, I live in Alaska sometimes, and there was no snow in Alaska last year, which happens. I think that happens every 17 years, though. But it's just very important that we all peacefully work together as humanity so that we can experience a life that is fulfilling and good. I mean, what else are we here for? To suffer and to be angry and to fight with each other all the time? And we're just taking so much from the earth, which is, we're
So
doing it
how
without
about
grace. And I'm really, this isn't the most spiritual perspective that I have or that I'm speaking of. Um, there's a lot more good in the world than bad, that's for sure. But this earth, she's huge, and in the center of her core, she has a heat that's as hot as the sun. You know, her layers, well, we're going to be a layer of the earth. The dinosaurs are down there. We'll be down there too. We'll just be a layer of plastic and metal. That's what we'll be. And there's actually this really amazing company, and oh my gosh, I don't remember their name, but I follow them on TikTok. They might be in Minnesota, I think, and they actually made compostable caskets. And so they have a warehouse that is temperature controlled, and I don't I don't know the entire process, but they have compostable caskets you can bury your family in, and within 2 months, when you open the metal uh, crate that they keep them in, it's soil, and they give the soil back to the family. And I'm like, that's perfect. I mean, that's amazing. Like, I want that to happen to me when I cross over physically fully to the other side, and my physical body's left here. It'd be cool. But I would also like to have that as a business too. Cemeteries are booming businesses. And it's just like, death is already a hard thing for a lot of people. And then we add like 10 grand, 20 grand on top of it. Why not make a casket that makes people into soil that they can use to plant with or put into a garden or do something sacred or whatever they want to do with it? That's maybe 1 to 5 grand or something. There's so many things we can compost, including the human body.
yeah, very interesting. 100%. All right, Jessica, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you so much for coming on the show today, sharing your story with us, all your insights, and how we can actually become self empowered, right? Learn all these tools and basically learn how to live in the flow in a sense, right? Because it's not about being perfect, it's about learning and moving through these states and growing in that process as well. There's so many different tools that you talk about, and really becoming environmentally conscious as
Hmm.
well, because again, it's like your inner world creates your outer world, right? And if you
Thank you so
become a
much,
light
Anthony.
within, I
Appreciate you
feel
having me
like
on.
you're going to create that vibration on the outside as well, and it's all interconnected. And again,
You can
appreciate
check
you
out my
and
coaching
spending the time.
website. It's magneticsoulhealing.org. You can also check out my other
Yeah. So if
website. It's
people wanted to get connected with you and all your work,
eco-cultura.org.
where can we find you?
I also have YouTube channels with those same exact handles at Magnetic Soul Healing and at eco.cultura. Um, I have Instagrams with the same names, but I just don't usually go on them. I don't usually go on Instagram. Um, yeah, the websites have my email if you want to, and my business phone number. If you want to email me or chat, want to know about my products or my services, you check out my YouTube channel. I talk about a lot of different things, post videos daily or shorts daily and videos weekly. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.